Okay, this is a video summary of the work I did to create a bridge between the house tile roof and this here porch roof. It's the 29th of the 5th month of 2022. Okay, so this is what I ended up doing. I ended up getting cement sheet, or it's actually eave sheeting for underneath the eaves. So I've got eave sheeting. I've painted it, given it one coat of acrylic paint. Then I've put black silicone on top, just a thin layer of black silicone. Underneath is wood, and the wood's the right thickness to sit on the tiles, and I'll just film that now. Okay, so that's what I did, and I put screws in, okay, through the cement sheet and into the wood. The wood is painted, so it won't rot over many years. And from the other direction now, it's the same thing. Okay. And how it's finished off is it's just laid on top of this piece of flashing here, and we've got the bridge there, and it's got silicone at the back. Okay, so I've gone along and I've put silicone here, as you can see, just on this gap where it meets. This is actually flat, and this is the height of the ridge. Okay, so in other words, it's just the weight of the cement sheet. The cement sheet is self-supporting around about here with a piece of wood, and it's just sitting on the flashing here. Alright, and these are the joins. Got one join there, and that's silicone sealed, and it's silicone sealed here, and we've got the screws attaching the piece of wood. And so in other words, this will stop in a very heavy downpour. It'll stop the guttering here, because as we can see here, we've got guttering. Okay, and if you've got too much rain, the gutter's going to overflow into the porch down below. So you need this bridge between the house and the porch tin roof. You know, there is better ways of doing this, I know. You can go and get a piece of sheet metal made up for this. However, this just happened to be the right thickness to be at the right height and meet up with the tiles. A tin, you know, galvanized tin would probably be, or in other words, a piece of flashing might be a better idea for this, but this is cost effective, and I was able to get the materials. I couldn't really find anything anywhere that would bridge a 300 or 400 millimeter distance. Also, if you do want to watch the rest of the video, this flashing here was exposed, okay, and what I've got now is silicone. I've pushed silicone up under there, so I'll put silicone there, and then I've gone right down it 2 or 3 times, putting a little bit of silicone here and just pushing it in like that until it's completely sealed, because the rain used to go, or at least it's possible that it could have in the past hit this and be driven up and over the edge there. Okay, now I was going to put some foam. I'll show you the piece of foam, but there just isn't the room here, because if I'd sat foam up below this piece of flashing here, that the bridge, we'll call it the bridge for argument's sake, sits on, this would have been higher, and it would have had a fallback effect, okay, because at the moment this is level. So That's another thing about this work. There was no real need for the bridge to come all the way back here or all the way back on the other side there. This is just so that most of the water in a downpour hits the tiles and runs straight off. Okay. I do have another video. It's going to be uploaded soon in the next couple of months about this plastic ridge capping. Okay. I can tell you, I'm prepared to tell you that I got this at Bunnings, and it follows the contour of the roof, but then the water will go down and hit that. In a downpour it'll go off the edge. That's fine, that's what I want. Okay, so it comes all the way out to about there, but that's in another video. I didn't want to put any screws in that or rivets, so I've just put that down with silicone. That's almost a year since that work has been done. I think in a couple of days, two or 3 days, it'll be a year, and it's still there, and the silicone's holding that down. Okay, but as I say, that's in another video, and the following video is about this work here, and this looks like a good success, and for that matter, the ridge capping also seems good. Okay, so I'll leave it there. I've just told you the process I went through to build this. The other ideas I had of using a tin or metal flashing. As I said, I couldn't really find anything for that, except one business said that I could have it made up if I give them the right measurements. I told you about the sponge that I was going to sit underneath a piece of flashing just a bit forward of the bridge there, so I'll show you that type. Okay, so this is it. It's a bit under $100 for a bag. As you can see, that would sit down that way, and it's got a flat edge here that would sit, so it would sit, as we were looking on the roof, it would sit like that. Okay, and the flashing would be on the top side there, but there wouldn't have been enough room for that. It would have lifted the flashing up too high. But anyway, just out of curiosity's sake, you know, that's the product there. Okay, so just like to say that you know, I know that my videos are sometimes let's just say not of the highest quality, but it is work of the work actually getting done from the start to the finish. A lot of this work I go into, I haven't done it before, so you know, no doubt there's possibly a better way that I haven't mentioned yet, but please by all means add what you think how it should be done. Please leave your comments in the comments section, and please like and subscribe. But so much for the introduction, and any clips after the end of this clip is the start of the work. Took quite a long time to get this work done, but with no further delay, let's start off the video. Okay, 28th of the 3rd 2022. What happens here is, in a large amount of rain, the water comes down here, it fills up this gutter, and it sort of overflows, I think, to the forward side of it, and you know, the water comes down off this gutter and underneath the porch. What I want to do is have the water run straight onto this this porch roof, but first of all I have to make sure that this gutter is going to be good for the next say 15 years. What I intend to do once the gutter's treated is put the tiles back and go from this point here to this point here. I'm going to use Eve cement sheeting, and then on top of that I'm going to put lead flashing, just to create, to continue the roof onto the deck and bypass this this gutter here. So let's clean it up. I'll bring the hose up. I think I'll start with. I have treated this once before, about 3 years ago. I used a combination of black rust proofing paint and silicone. Okay, so I believe it's going to be in pretty good order. It's just that I might apply another coat of paint to the exposed metal parts of the gutter. This gutter was never replaced when the rest of the guttering on the house was replaced, I believe. So could be the original guttering. So okay, that's the introduction. Okay, well the results are in, and what I found is there's a very early stages of rust developing along this section up to where I applied the silicone. So that's there, and there's the silicone. So we can see that the silicone was a good idea. It's pretty well as good as the day I put it on. Okay, that runs all the way up to the end there. So this was the area that had the rust issues. So just waiting for that to focus. So this section here had rust issues, and this section here was okay. It just needed some black rust paint. However, if we go up here, you can see that there is very early rust developing along there. Okay, so I have to just scrape it back. Scrape that rust layer off. I have to repaint the rust paint, and then to be sure, I think I might go along with that one there, with putting the silicone on top of the gutter. That way, you know, if I'm 70 or nearly 80 in this house, which I don't think I will be, but if I am, I'm going to want to know that this was done properly while I could do the work. Okay, so there it is. It's pretty much prepared now. This section here was also, if it'll focus, this section here was also prepared. So we're looking at this little 1 metre area here, and that's the long side of things. This was prepared with silicone, and you know, it's still pretty good. It's always underwater. So the silicone's a success. It was treated underneath the silicone. All the rust was removed. It was scrubbed with a wire brush. The rust proofing paint was applied, and then the silicone over top of that. You know, in hindsight, yeah, sure, I should have done this bit here along here, but with silicone, I mean. But well, it's we're setting record amounts of rain at the moment, so you know, I don't know if I can get it dried today. I have to go and get paint, so I'll dry it with a piece of you know, paper towel, and get the paint and see what I've got when I get back. Okay, well, I've just cleaned that up and run a bit of towel over it just to dry it, and you know, I might get the electrical dryer out and just dry along there, and if I'd done it properly and applied the silicone, I wouldn't have to do this work now. But yeah, where the silicone ends there, I'll go across to here, and you know, with the paint. So the big question is, do I have enough? And I don't have very much, I beg your pardon, only just a little bit in the bottom of this can, so and all that's got to be painted. Okay, that little bit of paint was enough. I dried it with the dryer gun there, and that's been sitting there for about an hour and a half, and that's just about ready to apply the silicone now. So I'll just go down to the hardware shop, and I'm going to get some three pieces of 2400 in length framing wood to use on the underneath of that when I put the cement sheet over here and the lead on top, but I'll explain that later on. Okay, what I'd like to do is apply the silicone now. It was 1:30 when I put the paint on. It's 3:30 now, so I'll just apply the silicone. I remember that this different coloured brown silicone here, that was a test, okay, and that was done about 3 years ago, and that was so that later on, if I had to do any more work here, I could see the results of the test. I didn't want to put too much on, not knowing the results. Now that I know the results are good, I'll do the rest of this. Okay, let's put on some black roof and gutter silicone. Okay, I've cut the nozzle to be open a bit more, and I find that applying it with my hands in a glove is the best, so I know what the depth of the silicone is. Okay, that's most of the tubes used up at this point. Okay, it's not pretty. Okay, well that's it. So it's two lots of silicone to do this this amount here. Say, what's that? 3 or 4 meters. I can recommend a technique where you put the silicone in the outer edges and then a bit in the middle, and just use your hands really. There's no real advantage to using a brush because you don't know how much you're applying. So okay, well no doubt that's going to last for a long time, who knows, 30-40 years, so wouldn't surprise me if it lasted that long. So now it's you know, pack up, replace the tiles, go down to the hardware shop, and we'll continue on tomorrow morning. Not everybody is hell-bent on destroying and blowing things up. There's lots of people out there trying to fix things and build things. Just remember that anyone can blow things up and destroy things, but it takes, you know, I believe anyway, good people to repair and build things. Okay, that's it for today, so over and out. Okay, it's the 2nd of the 4th, 2022, so you can say when there's no more lockdowns and all the traffic's back on the road after the virus pandemic. Okay, so what the final decision on the design is running the cement sheet from that ridge there onto the flashing here for the porch roof. I've got the lead here. It's 1.5 millimeters thick. Okay, it's very heavy. I think it's 20 kilograms or something like that. Okay, so the length of the cement sheet is 2 meters 400 metric. The same with this piece of framing wood. The cement sheet's going to, as I say, bridge that gap there. The wood's going to go underneath the cement sheet, and it's going to lock up against the flashing there and stop it from sliding down. This ridge of tiles is going to be removed. The flashing's going to be put on top of that. I've cleaned this with an abrasive, an abrasive cleaner, like this one here, and I've sponged it off. Oh God, got a fellow there. Come on, fellow. I might put him in there, so turn him over and he can be on his merry way. The only other thing that I wanted to say was I can't have this flashing going right over to the end there. I need a space here and on the other side just to clean out any debris or debris that gets in there, and not much dirt's going to fall in, you know, in this section here, because it's going to be collected by this channel here. So I've got this piece of wood to take my weight, because you can't step in between the screws. Okay, it's where the framing and strength points are. So okay, let's do it. I'll also mention at this point that when it rains, it's not the only direction that the rain goes in. It also drives up underneath this gap here. Where is it? Oops. I think I've mentioned it before, but I do have silicone now to go under that. You know, while I'm at it, there's really no reason why you couldn't just get cement sheet. Ideally, you want to use wall cement sheet, which is 6 millimeters wide. Okay, this is eave sheet, and this is 4 millimeters wide. The reason I say that is because 6 millimeters is thicker and it would bear more weight. However, this is quite complicated. This is 4 millimeters thick, but it's going to have this profile of framing wood underneath it. It's going to run along underneath along this point here. That is going to sit on top of the top parts of the tiles underneath, so the actual width unsupported is only about 300 millimeters wide. So this would do. There's no actual reason why you couldn't just sit this on top, cut it to the right width, and this happens to be okay. It's sitting up because it's sitting on top of the screws that are holding this metal flashing down, the black part. But you'd have to cut them out. But look, you could silicon along the top. You got to apply silicon and a few screws along the bottom, and that you'd have to apply silicon on top. You could get a metal stripper and just put it on thin, or you could put it on with your hand, and this would do. I've got no doubt that would be good enough, so long as it was held with enough silicon on the top and the bottom, a few screws along the bottom, and you applied a film of silicon along it. That would be good enough in my books, so far as I can see. You know, the silicon is going to last for decades, and I can't see it blowing off or going anywhere. So there's food for thought. But I've always worked on the premises that things have to be done the hard way. I've always done things the hard way. I'm 56 now, and I'm still here. So let's continue on with with those ideals, with that style in mind. Okay, look, let's try this. After a lot of thinking, this is what I think is, well, anyway, let's try this. Okay, let's put the silicon, let's put the framework underneath, but let's put the silicon at the back here underneath the front. Let's put 4 screws at the low points here along the front, as well as silicon underneath it. Let's apply the silicon on top. Give it a year. In 1 year's time, come back and finish off the video and just see what we've got after 1 year's time. If the verdict during the year or at the end of the year, this time in 2023, if the verdict is we need the lead flashing underneath, well, let's just rip this all off and do it properly. If in 1 year's time this is all good, then you know, any further work is unnecessary, and so for now let's take the lead flashing back and see what we've got in 1 year. Okay, well, that's the design we've got. Okay, and so I'll do that for the next two. At this point, I'm thinking there could be real advantages in this design. You know, if these could be made to be removed easily, then, you know, an inspection or a clean of this gutter could happen very easily. Okay, so I've just put silicone on the ends of the wood that acts as a type of paint or sealer. So this is untreated pine, and I'm expecting wind to come in on an angle and hit the pine, so I don't want it rotting out. I'm expecting this work to last decades. I will be putting a piece of cement sheet on the end just to stop any rain and moisture getting in, so you know, just wait for that to dry. I'll put the pieces back tomorrow morning, and we'll go from there. Okay, well, it's the next day, and I'm just going to put a bit of work into sealing these covers. So first coat is plastic based paint, and I'm thinking I might go over it with enamel paint before I apply the layer of silicone on top. So I'm just giving it the first coat now, and this is pine, and it's untreated, and that'll rot if around too much moisture. I've sealed the end with silicone, and just remember that plastic based paint or acrylic won't stick to the silicone. You get a situation like that. That's okay. So I'll just apply the first coat now. So this work is sort of like in place of the lead flashing that I was going to roll out over the top. It's amazing how much paint this cement sheet actually absorbs. Okay, well there they are. I literally just put the silicone on, this type of silicone. And I just used a one of these tools just to smear it around, and oh, it's not too bad. It could be thicker. This one's a little bit thin. I've got plenty of ventilation, and I wore these types of fairly thick gloves, so that's done now. I might give it another coat, I don't know yet. Okay, the 18th of the 4th, 2022, Easter Monday. So I've just given the backs another coat. Some wood was exposed. This is the back of the panel. So, and I've also I've numbered the panels. So let's put them in place and finish the job off. I have looked into getting some metal flashing. However, you have to measure it up, get the exact dimensions, and get somebody to make it. No doubt there'll be people that know where to get this. Just walk into a shop and get it. However, I don't. I'm in a slightly isolated place of Sydney. It's a long way to any real industrial areas, so I've been looking into that for a fair while now, but I've decided to put these in. I'm looking at this as being sort of like a temporary solution. So anyway, let's go about it, and in years to come I might find something else. So yeah, you can see that this whole area here, when it pours down, all the water hits it and flows into this gutter. Now, as I've probably mentioned before, we've got a downpipe there, and I think here and here. Okay, so this whole section here is not really drained. Okay, well let's put the first panel in and then the rest, and get it finished off. I highly recommend working with a good mask. This has got a charcoal filter in it, so it filters out any chemicals. So if you're going to work with bulk silicon, please wear a mask.